Hello, kiddies. It's your old pal, John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper. And you're listening to The Bottom Shelf.
Yo, Branson.
What is it?
Grab an oar. Let's go.
An oar?
Yeah. I got right.
John,
take this.
what do we need an oar for? Is this some weird initiation ceremony thing?
I've got an idea.
What's your idea?
Because I was flipping through your comic books.
Uh-huh.
I saw your Silver Surfer #1.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I was eating a grape jelly sandwich. I got some on the pages. But anyway, I
thought that was Galactus. I thought I discovered secret artwork.
No. But I got this idea of cosmic surfing.
John, it's a comic book. Cosmic surfing isn't a real thing.
Here. Okay, the airlock. Just follow me, okay?
No, John, this is a bad idea.
Okay, Glicks, open the airlock.
No, stop. John, no. Man, that's not pretty.
Did John just go out the airlock?
He's astro surfing? Hey, at least it's not a taco machine, right?
I mean, that's fair.
Prepare yourself to discover a world of terrible movies. High above the planet Geekery, a group of intrepid explorers hover over the dangerous planet in their fabulous super-orbital spacecraft. Their mission? To conduct a complete analysis of movies known throughout the universe as terrible. So grab your space popcorn, grab your freeze-dried ice cream, and join us for today's mission of discovery and wonder. Are these movies better than the galaxy thinks? Or do they really belong on the bottom shelf?
Hello, movie lovers and movie haters, and welcome to The Bottom Shelf, the podcast where every movie has a place. I am Dallas, and we're so glad to have you guys here for yet another fun-filled episode that is part of the Geek Devotions podcast network, the network of devoted geeks who are devoted to letting people know that they're loved. And ladies and gentlemen, I am excited to be at the mic with my friends as we go dumpster diving once again into the cosmic dumpster of bad movies. Guys, are you ready for today?
As ready as we'll ever be.
John, are you ready to go?
Depends. What's on the docket?
Well, let me dig into the thing here. And, gentlemen, are we in for a treat? I have just pulled out a movie from my childhood. Surf Ninjas.
Bro, you pulled out a movie from my childhood.
It's almost like we grew up in the same time period, John.
Yeah.
More so me than you, but
it's totally from our childhood. Like, who would have never heard of that movie?
Oh, totally, dude.
I see William Shatner's School of Acting is paid off for you, Branson, and dividends.
Hey, 1999, 4 easy payments, and I can play the next Captain Kirk. I'm there.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited. Let me help you out, Branson. First off, this is from 1993, the height of the 90s ninja craze.
I remember that time period. I do.
This was a magical time frame where we thought ninjas were just going to jump out of trees and attack every one of us, and we had to be ready.
I need to correct you on that, Dallas.
Yeah?
That ninja craze actually started in the 80s. It just was making it to the kids movies by the time the 90s. But you got that goes back to like An American Ninja back in 1985. All the Chuck Norris movies that were huge back then.
Oh,
Sidekicks. I remember Sidekicks. That was a fun movie.
Mm-hmm. There's a fun connection with sidekicks for you, by the way, in this movie.
Oh, all right.
All right. Well, this stars Ernie Reyes Sr.
Reyes
Sr. And Ernie Reyes Jr., which I love a father-son duo.
Yes.
You have You Can Do It, Rob Schneider. playing in this.
Schneider Reno.
We have graphic artist Nicholas Cohen in this movie, and John Carlin, Oliver Mills, several other individuals. But one person that you guys will probably know quite well is a what's the word I'm looking for? A comedic genius for some people. And that is Mr. Leslie Nielsen.
Bro, I'm going to take that one step further.
Okay.
He is a sci-fi legend.
A sci-fi legend.
Leslie Nielsen?
Yes.
Sci-fi legend?
I'm going to drop a movie title on you that he played the lead that you won't realize he was in.
Okay.
The Forbidden Planet.
Really?
He was in The Forbidden Planet?
Yeah, he was the lead actor in The Forbidden Planet.
I got to look this up.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
IMDb, come to me.
Forbidden Planet.
He had color in his hair when that movie was made.
The color is there. Holy crap, he's there. Commander Adams.
Mm-hmm.
What the heck?
This is a true story. I didn't know he was ever young.
Wow.
Here's the thing. Before he did Airplane, he was a serious actor. Like he did like Westerns and all kinds of stuff. And then Airplane hit big, and he was so good in Airplane that was his niche. Then he did Airplane 2. He did Police Squad.
Gun.
No, Police Squad came first. That was a TV show.
Okay.
That was the TV show that the Naked Gun movies was based off of.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
So he's been around the block.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Very cool. Now, our film we're talking about today that I'm excited about was directed by Neal Israel, who was not the first pick for this movie. There was somebody else who was picked, and it was originally he was going to be a much more serious film, kind of an Indiana Jones type of thing, but with surfing. And but he left. Fun fact I heard the other day, he left the country. Not him. The original guy left the country because he was working on a film they discovered was actually a money laundering opportunity for the mafia. And so he just left the country for several years, joined the Israeli army, made the rank of commander, then came back and made more movies. So
I guess that's one way to dodge a racket.
That was the original guy.
They made him an offer he couldn't refuse. He went to go sleep with officials.
So this guy, Neal Israel, he's done several comedy stuff over the years. And then you had Dan Gordon, who wrote it. And he's done a lot of stuff over the years, too, including he worked on the writing for Rambo Last Blood and several other things over the years. So that's who's involved with the film itself. I'm excited, guys. Let me read the box for you. Let me just read the box for you guys. All right. It is Surf Ninjas. Surf's Up. It's a tidal wave of hilarious, head-spinning martial arts actions and laughs in this outrageous fantasy adventure starring Ernie Reyes Sr., Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Leslie Nielsen, Naked Gun, Rob Schneider, The Animal and Big Daddy, and Tone Loc. Blank Check. Tone Loc. Sorry. Blank Check. I forgot he was in Blank Check. Holy crap. All right. Life is a beach. Life is a beach for laid-back California surfer teens, Johnny and Adam, until the two brothers discover they're actually long-lost princes of South Sea Island paradise. Unfortunately, between the boys and their destiny stands the island's demented tyrant, Colonel Chi. Half man, half machine, all bad.
Cop.
With the help of the same oddball allies, the same very cool ancient magic, the two brothers are transformed from mere surfies into way awesome ninja super dudes. Join heroes' comical quest for freedom, justice, and some primo wave-shredding action. Surf ninjas.
Gonna catch some gnar, Brody.
Tubular.
Okay, so when you're reading the back of this box and when you said that they discover that they are two princes, I'm like, holy crap, was this movie what the song Two Princes by the Spin Doctors was based off of?
Headcanon.
Oh my gosh. All right, Branson, through the magic of podcasting and the power of our AI Glicks,
Yes.
we have some community thoughts on this film. Can you pull it up from Glicks and see what they are?
All right, Glicks, load the community thoughts. Let's see what we've got here. Yes. Surf Ninjas is so good. That's a positive one. I love this movie. It is a nostalgic movie from childhood. Funny, silly, and Leslie Nielsen.
Fair.
All right, let's see. This is what your mom and dad brought back from Blockbuster when they were out of Ninja Turtles and Mortal Kombat. Wow, okay. that informs me on some things. Love Surf Ninjas. I have a Rob Schneider signed DVD of Surf Ninjas. It's really hard to describe. It's definitely the dumbest, silliest ninja movie you'll ever see, but that's what makes it so awesome. You know, I respect that. I have seen movies where what makes it good is that it's so terrible. So I understand that.
A lot of the movies we've done here are that way.
Yeah. But the next commenter disagrees. This person says, absolute crap, dumpster fire all the way.
Was that Kevin?
Yeah.
I think it was actually. The fact
you can feel the Irish coming off that comment.
Like literally you said that. Literally you said that, and I could hear his voice saying it while you were reading it. It's like I can see Branson reading this, but it's suddenly he's Kevin. I just
absolute crap, dumpster fire all the way.
The fact that you just did that in a Scottish accent is going to really tick him off.
I can't help it. Every time I try to do Irish, it comes out Scottish. Maybe I've got Scottish in me somewhere. Way
All right, now Branson.
Yes.
When you read this next one, I need you to picture a very fun-loving, gentle, kind, yet scary Asian when you read this one.
Oh, is this Smeek's comment?
This is Smeek's comment.
Oh boy. Okay.
You got to bring the all reverence. For those of you not in those, Smeek is a very dear friend of Branson and I's, who we love and we care for. He is the kindest person, but we're scared of him.
Yes, absolutely. Like we used to joke that if we were ever in a room and Smeek, for whatever reason, had his inhibitions moved, he would vanish into the shadows and then we would all die one by one. And we would never find him.
I want to meet this guy.
You should.
Oh, you'd love him. He's great. He's absolutely wonderful. All right. Smeekage. Classic movie that I will probably love until the day I die. Asian fairy tale story that essentially included one of my favorite actors as the comical villain, introducing the concept of a game influencing reality in a different way than The Last Starfighter. And it contains some funky, fantastical stunt fighting from the people who did the stunts in Ninja Turtles movies. It includes a made-up Asian country that is a Southeast Asian Zamunda. May try to rewatch again now that you mention it. Wow. Mr. Sangsura, you set a very high bar. All right. Next comment says Moto Surf.
You got it. Come on. Feel it, man. Feel it.
Moto Surf.
Moto Surf.
There it is.
Ah, okay. I got you. Sorry, I've not seen this one before. Watching it as an adult, I was surprised by how little happens. I remember it being markedly more eventful, but it's all style, no substance. So it's a candy movie. Okay. The greatest movie of all time, but I may be biased. This is from one of the actors. We had one of the actors comment on our show.
Yes.
Wow.
Nicholas Cohen.
When you post this, make sure you tag him with it when we post this episode.
I will definitely do that.
I want his response.
Oh my goodness. So all right. Well,
who was it that commented?
Nicholas Cohen.
He played Adam.
He plays Adam. Okay. Awesome.
Yep. All right, Mr. Haryu, bring us into the trivia.
All right. So this movie was shot in 5 weeks.
Wow.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. And if you think that's amazing, that's not even the thing that tripped me out the most when I was doing my research on this. So despite the fact that he played a teenager in this movie, Rob Schneider was 30 years old at the time of filming.
Are you for real?
Yes.
No way.
Yes.
He's that old?
Yes.
Does he age? Is he a vampire?
Oh my gosh. I thought he had me beat by like maybe 10 years. I thought he was maybe 10 years older than me.
So here's something else too, okay?
Brent's is having an existential crisis over here, ladies and gentlemen.
So
Wow.
Ernie Reyes Jr. and Sr. are both Filipino, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
Rob Schneider is actually part Filipino, the same ethnicity.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And Ernie Reyes Jr. actually holds a 4th degree black belt in Taekwondo.
Oh, that's not surprising.
This one was interesting though too. Though he is known for like doing comedies like the Naked Gun movies and Airplane, Leslie Nielsen was actually said to be surprisingly intimidating during filming. According to Ernie Reyes Jr., he remained in character off camera in an attempt to scare everybody.
Oh my gosh, that's terrifying.
Okay. Sure.
So the Sega Game Gear plays a big part in this movie because Sega financed part of the production. So we'll have lots of Game Gear scenes in this movie.
Most of their finances went to the batteries to power the Game Gear during the production.
No kidding, right? After the diner's destroyed in this movie, there are 2 surfer dudes who walk up and ask if they're open. They also worked on this movie as script doctors for this film. One of them is Mitchell Hurwitz, and you might recognize that name because he is also the creator of the TV show Arrested Development.
Oh, wow.
Oh, cool.
Mhm.
All right.
The Southeast Asian country that is featured in this is a fictional country called Padusan. And the language that's spoken in it, because it is a fictional country, is actually a mix of several different Asian languages, such as Filipino, Vietnamese, and Thai.
Oh, okay.
I respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's all I'm going to throw out here. Nope, there's one more. I just remembered, got to find it. Both Kelly Hu and Ernie Reyes Jr. have appeared in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise. Hu was Karai in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon series from 1987 on Nickelodeon. And then, of course, we all know Reyes was Kino in Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, but he also was the stunt person for Donatello in the first Ninja Turtles. He did not actually voice the character.
Right.
Very cool.
I want to add one more little thing to it. Ernie Reyes Jr., he played in a TV series called Sidekicks, not to be confused with the movie with Chuck Norris. But in that same movie, in that series, he really played a kid who was from Patusan.
Oh, cool.
So it's kind of a return to that.
I didn't say that one because you had made a reference to a Sidekicks connection earlier. I was letting you pull that one.
Oh, cool. I appreciate that, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're about to jump into things. Expectations around the table. Mr. Boykin.
As I've alluded to before, I've never actually seen this. I remember when it came out. I remember it being advertised. I remember there being a lot of movies that were about martial art ninja kids. I kind of fell more into, I ended up seeing a lot of the Three Ninjas movies. So I never really got around to seeing this one, but I expect it'll be something kind of similar. A lot of comedy mixed with, like 1 or 2 people who actually know the martial arts and everyone else who's just really good at posing. that kind of thing. Probably not a lot of plot, but just pure fun. Just something to give something for the kids to laugh at.
I respect that. All right, Mr. How are you?
Unlike Branson, I have seen this movie once before. I saw it. I rented it on VHS.
Nice.
I don't remember it, to be perfectly honest. I get this movie confused with Three Ninjas a lot, so it's hard for me to keep them straight. I remember enjoying both of them, but I don't remember. I can't tell you anything specific about this movie, so I'm walking into it with an expectation of. I'm walking into it with a little tinge of nostalgia, but not a whole lot. But I'm hoping I'll enjoy it.
That's
on
fair.
some level.
Right. All right. So as you guys could tell from my excitement, I'm excited about this film. This is one of my guilty pleasure type of movies. Demara's my sister. We watched this movie often. We rented it from the local video store several times. I have fond memories of laughing, watching it. There's a song that is sung multiple times. Demara and I would sing that song often. We just enjoyed this movie a lot. In fact, years ago when I worked for Hollywood Video and they were starting to come to a close, I bought the DVD copy of it off the shelf just to give to my sister because she and I love this movie so much. So it was actually a gift for my sister. So I'm looking forward to watching this, enjoying the nostalgic feelings of it, and having some fun today.
Can I just say that of all the things that you always talk about that you and Demara used to watch when you were kids, I have a feeling if you and me hung out back when we were kids, the three of us would have been like besties.
Oh, I have no doubt about that. I have no doubt. Just the conversations I've had with you over the last like basically 2 years, like there's a lot of things you don't have had in common. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go into the viewing chamber, and we'll see how this goes on the back end.
All right.
Dear listeners, this is your opportunity to escape. Our crew has just entered into the media projection chamber. What horrors and madness that they consume are unknown. Their mental state upon their return is unknown. You have been warned.
All right. Branson.
Good
Golly,
is it over?
Branson? You're
Sorry.
drooling over the upholstery. All right.
Sorry. Okay.
Can I just say that I miss Ernie Reyes Jr.?
Right?
Why can't he be in more movies?
He was so great.
Ernie Reyes Jr., if you're out there listening to this, if your fictional brother points you towards this podcast, can you please be in more movies? The world needs you now more than ever.
Ernie's been in a few things. He was in Uncharted, the live action fan film.
The fan film. All right.
Fan film. Which some would say was better than the actual one.
Well, that's not hard to do.
Right. He was in a movie I remember people talking about. It was called Fury of the Fist and the Golden Fleece. I have not watched it. But I've heard people talk about that before. Now that I'm looking at it, that's not a movie I'd probably watch. He was in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He was in The Librarians.
Oh, okay.
Actually, he played the Monkey King, so that's kind of lit.
He was in The Monkey King?
No, he played the Monkey King in The Librarians.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You got me excited for a moment.
I know, right? So he was in a lot of things. He's been in a few things here and there, but I think you're right. He needs to come back. Like, the dude's talented, without a doubt.
He needs a comeback in the same way Robert Downey Jr. made a comeback. Like, the world needs him now. Actually, you know what? He should have been in that one Marvel movie, Legend of the Ten Rings.
Oh, Shang-Chi?
Shang-Chi?
Yes,
Shang-Chi?
that would have been amazing.
I can see
would have
that.
been cool. Yes. That,
can definitely see-
wow. With no disrespect to the guy who did play Shang-Chi, Ernie Reyes Jr. would make a perfect Shang-Chi.
Or can you imagine if he was in one of the next Expendables movies?
Oh,
That would be lit.
my gosh.
Ernie Reyes, again, if you're listening to this, please.
Yes.
I need this in my life.
Either make a cameo in Expendables 5 or be in Expendables 6.
Now, I
It
do
needs
know
to
that
happen.
I'm not sure what movie this is, but I'm looking at the pictures of him in IMDb, and there is a place where he is thoroughly sticking his foot in the face of the Rock. Like he has just knocked him out.
I'm just gonna put this out there. And this one's for the captain. That's our dear friend of the podcast, Francisco. The most recent thing he's been in that I've seen was Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Oh no!
Who was he in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
He was a cemetery warrior.
Oh my gosh! Wow.
He was in Rush Hour 2.
Was he?
Who was he in Rush Hour 2?
A character named Zing. I like how this whole
gosh.
podcast is just us talking. He was in The Last Dragon.
We're just sitting here fanning out.
The Last Dragon, dude. I love that movie so much. The Last Dragon is one of my favorite movies of all time.
So next on the bottom shelf, we'll be reviewing The Last Dragon.
I hope it doesn't qualify for the bottom shelf because it's so good. It's a 6.0 on IMDb, so it doesn't qualify.
What's the Metacritic, though?
Oh, my goodness. Let me look it up.
You are listening to the Ernie Reyes Jr. fan cast.
Legitimately, though, he was my favorite part of Ninja Turtles 2.
He was my favorite part of pretty much every movie he's been on.
Yeah.
Like, even back in Red Sonja, he was one of the best things in that movie.
Oh, yeah? By the way, Last Dragon is a 58 on Metacritic.
It still could qualify.
True story. That is... Who's the master? Show enough. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're in a portion where we're talking about the spoiler-free thoughts we're having on the film. And so far,
spoiler-free thoughts are Ernie Reyes Jr. is a legend,
Yes.
and everybody should love him.
Also, the reason this is spoiler-free is because we're not actually talking about the movie at all.
You shush.
We're talking about all the other movies that Ernie Reyes Jr. has been in.
I will say this. Talking about the film, I enjoyed the choreography in this film. The fight scenes. I thought they were fun.
I would agree with you on that, except I feel like a lot of the choreography kind of borrowed from Jackie Chan fight scenes.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think that's a stylistic choice. I think that's a style.
Like there, and this is a skosh in the spoiler territory, but I need to explain myself. There's a scene where a pair of chopsticks are used in a fight, and they go up a bad guy's nose. And I swear I've seen that in that specific maneuver in a Jackie Chan movie.
Maybe.
It's not a bad pull if you're gonna borrow from a kung fu movie. Jackie Chan's not a bad place to borrow from. It's like borrowing from a Bruce Lee movie.
Right.
I'm now looking up movies that have chopstick scenes in it.
It's gonna be one of those episodes where we're just immediately sidetracked by
Kung Fu Panda, The Karate Kid, Kill Bill 2. I think you may be talking about Kill Bill 2.
What about Kill Bill 2?
There's a scene with that, that. I don't know. But even still, I think that's a stylistic choice of doing things. But across the board, it's a fun movie to watch. The fight scenes were fun. They were exciting. There wasn't the shit. I'm getting kind of bored. Not bored. What's the word? I'm getting. It's getting old for me. The shaky cam fight scenes.
Oh yeah.
And this was a family movie. That's another thing. This is a family film. That's meant to be watch as a family, to have fun and everything like that. This got me wanting to do Taekwondo when I was a kid. And so I did Taekwondo film partially because of this movie. And so and I think that's one of the best attributes of this film is it draws the stuff out of you. You can walk out, you're I want to do some Kung Fu. I want to fight.
I would agree with you. I think I would agree with you more if I had seen this as a kid. Like I said, this is the first time seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up watching Three Ninjas. Seeing this now, it felt very much like they're just copying Three Ninjas. But I also recognize that as a younger, if I had grown up seeing this movie and not Three Ninjas, and then I saw Three Ninjas as an adult, I would probably think Three Ninjas is just trying to copy Surf Ninjas. So I recognize I don't necessarily feel the same way you do about it, but I also recognize that that's probably because I'm coming back and watching this as an adult.
Hey, Branson.
Instead of seeing it as a kid, like most everyone else did.
Branson,
Yes.
I will say, as someone who watched both Three Ninjas and this movie, they both kind of pull a little bit from the Karate Kid franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could definitely feel that.
And then you start to, if you take a step back further to take in the full scope of that time period, you had the Karate Kid, you had Surf Ninjas, you had the live action TMNT movies, you had the Three Ninja movies, you had Sidekicks. It's not that one borrows from the other or one rips off the other. It was a genre that was happening at the time. It was the kids will overcome through the power of martial arts. It was a common theme that happened during the 90s. So where I can respect your perspective given your influences, I got to say that, it really wasn't so much that as it was a thing that all these movies were doing at the time.
It was just popular back then.
I mean,
exactly.
to take it back to the Ernie Reyes Jr. Fanboying a little bit. I mean, that's literally how the reason why he had a career during that time frame was because of all those movies during that era that were just capitalizing on the kids and kung fu thing.
I did think that, which I don't know, this might be spoilery, but just talking about the Colonel, his like robotic, preferable, but no, his like a whole robotic look.
Oh, Leslie Nielsen. Okay.
Yeah. Leslie Nielsen's Colonel. I was getting kind of, just a little bit of Bison vibes.
Yeah.
Did y'all get that?
Yeah.
I can see that.
Well, here's the thing. And I literally have this in my notes. This movie basically does the same thing that Street Fighter did, except good.
In a year beforehand.
Yeah.
To your credit, Branson, Three Ninjas came out in 92. This came out in 93. Street Fighter came out in 94.
Oh, okay. So this was kind of in the middle of that train. But no, I understand what John's saying though. Is it's not that it necessarily stole anything, just that was a popular genre. It's like superhero movies in the the past 10, 15 years.
Yep.
Superhero movies everyone wants to do a superhero movie because that's what's been popular. So I get that. I understand that was a popular movie genre of the time.
And I think that would be the greatest analogy you could make is this was the Marvel. This was the superhero genre of the day.
Right.
Or the zombie movies of the early 2000s.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah. So, I mean, I understand that. And like I said, I don't want it to sound like I'm dogging on the movie at all. I'm recognizing that my lack of enthusiasm is probably simply because I just never watched it as a kid.
That's
right.
right.
So it's hard for me to differentiate this from other movies I did watch as a kid. So there's not a nostalgic
I can respect
level
that
for me.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, not even. It doesn't necessarily have to be a nostalgic thing. It's just if you can't separate it, if it doesn't stand out as being unique to you, then it's hard to be enthusiastic about something that just seems a little bit paint by numbers.
Yeah.
I did find Rob Schneider's character very entertaining, though. Like I couldn't help myself. Every time he did stuff, I like. Ernie Reyes Jr.'s character would do stuff that was supposed to be funny, and I'd be like, okay, this is the part where I'm supposed to laugh. But then Rob Schneider would do something, and I would like laugh out loud. I was like, oh my gosh, that guy's so funny.
I have seen many Rob Schneider movies in my time, and he is very hit and miss with me, and in most cases miss. Like I don't find him to be super funny, and that's not a dog on him and as an actor. It's just his brand of funny is not my thing. Like Benchwarmers was probably my favorite thing that I can remember him being in. In watching this movie though, like he was comedy gold for this movie for me.
Yeah, it was.
It's just something about, and I'll take that one step further. Not just him, but all the comedy in this movie, for whatever reason, it just hit me right every single time. I was laughing my head off watching this movie, and I'm like, yeah. I mean, I was laughing pretty good.
I'm with you. Like the comedy hit me across the board all the way through the entire film also. And I'm wondering if it was maybe the type of upbringing that John and I had versus what you had, Branson, with your household, the way that you guys saw comedy. This just hit special for me. And maybe it's just that the whole era. Like when I finished this movie, I wanted to go and watch Encino Man and Suburban Commando and like those kind of films. Like they just that was what's in my context right now with this film.
Yeah.
Well, do we want to go ahead and venture off into our spoil-filled thoughts on the film?
That would probably be safe. Like I've got a lot of unspoilery stuff, but I have a feeling like as we chat about it, it's going to dip into spoilers. So
yeah. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, to the spoiler section.
Ladies and gentlemen, the spoiler section.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are in the spoiler section, so that means everything we say from this point forward will be spoiling the film. If you have not seen it, it is like $10 on Amazon, or there's a 340p version on YouTube that you can hear if you have complete silence in your city. And so,
I will also say this movie's 30 years old. If you haven't seen it by now, I don't care if I spoil it for you.
That's fair.
That's fair. That's fair. All right, guys, let's jump into it. Let's talk about our spoil-filled scenes that we have.
Rob Schneider as the paraplegic Irish uncle. Oh my gosh.
Yo, boys, get in here. I'm going to hit you with a leg that doesn't work.
I'm 38 years old.
38 years old.
I lost it. I absolutely lost it because it was like, it caught me so off guard. I didn't even know he was going to be in this scene. He was like, "You kids better get in there before I hit you with me mumbling." Just, oh my god.
What's bad as a kid, like again, I was like real young when I watched this originally. It didn't even register to me that was Rob Schneider, and like, and I might have realized at some point, but when it came out, it caught me. I died.
Oh my god! The fact that I didn't remember hardly anything from this movie, like I remembered moto surfing, and that was it. Yeah. I didn't even remember that Leslie Nielsen was in this movie. To be perfectly honest with you,
we had a community comment from our friends over at Beneath the Tangles, and it was probably Tweak who commented, and he goes, "Leslie Nielsen's in this?" Like he'd forgotten that also.
Like I don't know what it is, but I had forgotten that he was in this movie. But I think the fact that I didn't really remember anything specific about this movie is what made this movie so good. All I remembered was my general feelings of the movie when I saw it at the time, and going back into it now, it's just like, oh, this is taking me back to a time. This movie took me back to a time when not every movie needed to try to be some kind of life-changing cinematic event.
Yes.
Like you could have a dumb movie for a dumb movie's sake.
Yeah.
And you could still do it well. Like, like you could have a script that could be absolutely ridiculous and be a complete fairy tale or a farce. But the humor in it and the heart behind it was so good, it didn't matter. And I'm like, yes, give the Lord a hand clap. Somebody stand up and testify. This is what the world needs now.
I saw a conversation the other day about the fact that we've lost something with family films. A lot of family films now, they're big budget. They're trying to make a big point, and they may be comedies, but like they're just so serious. We've lost the telling our original stories just to be silly and have fun and not be just grotesque and foul at the same time. We've lost that in this movie.
It's the Shrek effect.
It's
the Shrek effect.
Oh yeah,
the Shrek effect. Please explain. I think I understand where you're going with that, but please elaborate.
Okay, so the Shrek effect caused a divergence in family films. You either had the movie that was geared towards kids, but was so loaded with double entendre that it was really geared towards adult with kid themes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or it changed the family film to be so kid oriented that nobody else in the family is going to enjoy themselves except for the kids.
Oh, and Shrek was the one that caused that split.
Yeah.
You know, as I sit here and reflect on that, I can see that. Definitely.
I Shrek is it's a humorous movie. I personally, and I've said this since it came out, I have issues with it because it was marketed so heavily towards children, but there were so many entendres in there. It was probably the first film where I really saw how much they threw in there that I was off put by it.
Yeah.
And there's a sweetness to this type of film of Surf Ninjas and other ones that's just, it's refreshing.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. I enjoyed the gag where Rob Schneider throughout the entire movie was convinced that he was actually the prince and that the boys were his stand-ins. And then they start talking about the different powers and abilities they have. And he says, every time I say, what if something happens? It happens. What if I take my powers away? Oh no! I just took my powers away.
I just got him, and then I ruined it.
Oh my gosh! I John, like you, I'm one of those guys. Rob Schneider's a hit or a miss. Some of the stuff he's hilarious. Some of the stuff I'm like, okay, whatever. It's Rob Schneider. But for this one, he made this movie entertaining for me.
Can I? Real quick, I'm going to cut you off here, Branson. I want to make a prediction now before we get too far into the podcast.
Okay.
But I predict that this movie, Branson, is going to be like a certain other movie that we've done, that the longer we talk about it, the more you're going to enjoy this movie. That's happened.
Maybe.
What movie are you talking about, John?
I don't remember. But recently we did a thing on a movie where Branson came in a little bit cold on it, but the more we started talking about it, it changed his rating by the end of the.
Yeah,
I
remember that happening. I don't remember. Yep. Was it one of the shark movies?
I don't remember.
I can't remember.
Anyhow.
All right, so speaking of Rob Schneider, though, the bit when he's in the jungle and he's talking about the knives and not having to buy knives,
that killed me.
And then he goes, "Will anybody shut this chattering monkey up?" He goes, "Well, I'd cut him, but I don't got a knife."
Tone Loc hit that with the appropriate rhythm of how that joke was supposed to go.
He's so funny, and I think people forget how much he did back in the day. Like he was in Bebe's Kids. I love. That's one of my favorite movies as a child was Bebe's Kids, and he was in that. And hearing his voice, like seeing his face, and then picturing him as the baby in Bebe's Kid, it's hysterical to me.
It's literally in my notes, and I can't find it now, but I wrote it somewhere in my notes. I'm like, was Tone Loc in every single comedy in the early 90s?
I think so.
Because
he was in everything.
He was in Ace Ventura. You know, he always played a cop too. He always played just a worn out cop all the time.
Right.
Why don't we see Tone Loc anywhere anymore? Did him and Ernie Reyes Jr. just be like, "Yo, the 90s are over," and I'm gonna take a break?
I'll say this. I just did a quick Google search. The last thing he did was in 2022, and he played a character in The Proud Family, the TV series, and before that was 2014 in a movie called Not Cool, and he was technically uncredited. So
now I got funky Cole Medina going through my head.
I've had Wild Thing in my head since I watched the movie. And legit, like that song has a special place in my heart because my dad had a mixtape of different things. So when I go to my dad's house, a lot of the music my dad was listening to was in this movie, including the Wild Thing. And so it took me back.
Oh my gosh.
What?
Toad Loke was the voice of Sea Bear.
Yeah.
Sea Bear and Jamal. That is where I heard his voice before. That was driving me crazy. I was like, I know this guy's voice. He was Sea Bear. Oh my gosh.
Can we talk about the music in this movie for a second?
Please do. Please do.
Can we just say that the soundtrack for this movie, not the orchestral stuff. I'm not super into that stuff, but
not the score.
Like the licensed soundtrack for this movie was fire. Fire. Like, especially the opening track for this movie. I don't know who that was. I don't know who that was. What's that?
Yeah, he made a joke. He's like, "Oh, when I tell you guys, no Van Halen before coffee in the morning." The boy's like, "Well, we've already had our coffee."
I don't think that was Van Halen. It didn't sound like Van Halen or any Van Halen song I'm familiar with. But if you want to talk about Van Halen, there's a piano riff that they use throughout this movie that straight up rips off Right Now, the intro to Right Now by Van Halen. Every time it started coming on, I'm expecting the piano, after it gets done with the tinkles, to come in. Da 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 ba da ba ba da ba ba ba.
And apparently, Ernie Reyes Jr. is a fan of the oldies because we got some Barbara Ann going in there. That was a funny moment.
I love that. That was the song I was telling you guys that we sang. The mayor and I would sing that song, and like even when I got to the point where I realized this is an old song and I heard it on the oldies station, the mayor and I went back to Surf Ninjas because that was like that's what we associate Baba Ram to.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to say, and this is the band geek in me, but at the end of the movie, when the Bob Aram is singing that with the other ones and they got the band behind them,
Yeah.
I wanted to rip my skin off because I'm watching I was watching the actual people, the musicians playing the instruments.
Oh, it's all
and they weren't playing right, and it was driving me up the wall. Like there's a part where you could hear the drums do a fill down the toms, and the drummer was still on the hi-hat and snare, and I'm like, no, that's not what just happened.
Oh gosh.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Y'all were mentioning earlier about the choreography of the fighting. I actually wasn't that impressed by it at first because Ernie Reyes Jr. was pretending to be a guy who didn't know martial arts,
right?
But was doing tricks, obviously because he did, and I guess it was one of those not able to separate the art from the artist. I know what he's capable of.
Right.
I know that he is a skilled martial artist. So to see him freak out and dodge and duck and roll over and barely miss getting swung by a sword, I was like, come on, dude, I know you're better than that. So it was actually a relief at the part where he gets the samurai sword and he
goes to town.
Yeah. And he finally lets loose. And I'm like, okay, now I can appreciate this movie. Unfortunately, that was also when I fell asleep, so I didn't actually get to see any of the fighting.
You missed the big fight then.
Can I blow your mind here a little bit and and change your perspective?
Okay.
Do you know how much skill it takes to be able to dodge those near misses that close?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I know that you have to know what you're doing to know how to mess it up right. I 100% get that. But the narrative of the story was he's just really accidentally missing everything, or because his brother's playing the video game the right way, that's what saves him. And again, it's because I am so connected with him as shoot, I can't remember his name now in Ninja Turtles. Reno.
Tito was a Jackson.
Kino. No, it was Kino.
Yeah, Kino. That's right. Tito is pizza rolls. No, it's Tostitos. Tostinos.
One of them's the brother of Michael Jackson.
Right. Oh, so, right.
So seeing him play Kino, who can hold his own alongside the Ninja Turtles, and then to see him in this movie where he's a beach bum to start with. All he ever wants to do is surf. He's kind of a goofy guy. And then when he gets in a fight with ninjas, he acts like he doesn't know what he's doing. It was a little bit of a letdown for me. But again, I was walking into this movie with very preconceived ideas of what he was capable of. And I really think all in all, the fact that I saw this so late in my life is a disservice to what the movie actually is.
I give you that. But to be fair, Branson, that's basically the exact same character he plays in Ninja Turtles, except for in Ninja Turtles, he is good at fighting. Instead of being a beach bum, he's a kind of a valley kid living in the Bronx for some reason.
Yeah, but he's more motivated. Like the first time you meet him, he sees a bunch of guys robbing the mall and he acts. He like gets up and does something.
Mm-hmm.
He gets in an argument with Splinter because he wants to go help the turtles fight, and Splinter's like, no, you need to stay here. He when Raphael goes off the reservation and does his own plan, he gets Kino to help him.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in this movie, he's kind of like, I just want to surf and sing Barbara Ann and not get cut by a sword, until he actually like awakens the power within or whatever. And so I guess once again, it was hard for me to separate the art from the artist and see him as a character other than what he had played in previous movies.
Mm-hmm. I get that.
As long as we're back on the Ernie Reyes Jr. fan cast,
he's the star of this show. Let's just admit it.
Can I just point out, Homeboy was yoked.
Man. Like ripped.
Yoked, like bodybuilder level yoked, like OMG, dude.
Yeah, he was like, you could tell that he was like, hey, I went to this scene without a shirt, guys.
Well, I mean, that's the reason why he had his shirt on and was in the wetsuit for all the surfing scenes, is because they had to make him seem a lot more diminutive before he had the power of the ancestors.
Right.
Because if he would have come out in the front end of this movie looking like Asian He-Man or Korean Jesus. Have you seen that picture, by the way?
I have where Jesus on the cross and he's got like biceps on his biceps.
Homeboy's got like a 72 pack instead of a 6-pack.
Right.
But yeah, dude, I saw that and like, oh my gosh, no wonder the girl wanted to keep dating him after she said she didn't want to get married. Well, let's talk about Leslie Nielsen for a second.
Yeah.
Like that dude, like no matter what role he plays the same character in every movie after Airplane, but he does it so well. Like he is the classic case of find something you do and do it, something that you do well and do it better than anybody else.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. When he's threatening his henchman with the turkey cutter that he sharpens on like the axe grinder, and then he's gonna like threatening to cut the guy,
or when he gets his face stepped on an elephant. Like that's literally that's literally a scene from the end of The Naked Gun. When that guy gets launched out of the baseball stadium, and then like there's like the parade of people that walk across him, and then there's the steamroller that goes over the top of him, and then there's the just the constant like there was a lot of nods to there's a lot of nods to those old spoof movies that he did throughout this movie.
Yeah.
And I'm aware that he was like legitimately trying to be scary and menacing, but all I could see was Frank Drebin trying to be the Terminator in this movie.
Although I have to say, when I found out Tom Cruise was starring in The Last Samurai, I had a quiet joke with some of my friends that, The Last Samurai is some white dude. But I now see that was not an original idea. The concept of a white samurai did in fact start in the 90s.
Well, here's the thing. They did say he was a foreign invader. So, I mean,
and what's more like a southern or a foreign invader than, cultural appropriation?
Right. I'm going to invade
why they
fictional Asian country.
Why they decided to dress him up in a samurai armor and give him an Asian name of General Chi, I'll never understand. But, they did say he was a foreign invader. So I'm like, okay, I can kind of get that. Now,
when did Street Fighter come out?
94.
So it was after this movie.
Yes.
Okay, because I was wondering because when we watched Street Fighter, we talked about how there was a guy who was supposed to be playing like a Korean guy or something, but he was Native American.
Yeah, it was the guy who played Sagat.
None of the characters in Street Fighter were played by people with the nationality that they were supposed to be. Even the white characters were not played by people with the right nationality.
The guy who played Sagat was played by the guy who played Magua in Last of the Mohicans.
Right.
But you just made me lose my train of thought. Oh yeah, I had a thought. No, it's fine because I was actually had the thought while you were talking. Were you done with your thought? Point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just had a thought when you brought it up. I know who could have done General Chi so much better.
Please do not say Jeff Goldblum.
No.
Jeff Goldblum.
Please. I don't want to go there again.
I have an idea.
Stop. No.
Now hear me out.
No, please.
I'm away from the phone. Leave a message after the beep. And now listen. Don't hang up. And okay. Oh, did you find the boys? You found both the princes. Not just the one, but the 1 and 2. Okay, that's good. Let's kill them both.
Why didn't you shoot me out of the airlock?
You brought it up, dude. I forgot about that gag.
I regret it. I regret it so much.
This is now
our question of the week is: what character could Jeff Goldblum play in Surf Ninjas? Let us know, viewers.
I'm your Scottish uncle, and you get up here now before I beat you with this leg that no longer works. And I'm 37 years old. 37, not 38, but 37. And
please stop.
No, but where I was going was I who could have done General Chi, and it would have made the perfect trifecta. Raul Julia.
Yes.
Help me out. Raul Julia is
he played M. Bison in Street Fighter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I feel bad that I forgot his name now.
And because he would have been more menacing than Leslie Nielsen and a lot more believable as a villain.
Absolutely. Because I kept getting Bison vibes. Like I don't know if it was just the look of him or maybe it was the setting or what, but
it was everything. Like, this movie did everything that Street Fighter was trying. Like now that I know that Street Fighter was made after this movie, I 100% believe that Street Fighter cribbed from this movie, like so much.
Yeah.
All they did was add cocaine and
yeah. Makes sense.
So yeah. I think I've hit all my notes here.
I've hit all mine. I want to point this out though. Off mic when we were prepping for this show, guys, the guys made a comment saying this will be a really short episode, and we're almost an hour in talking about a movie that at the top of the hour, Branson's like, oh, okay. And now he's like, his cheeks are hurting from laughing this entire time.
That and the fact that I because we all grew up in the time frame we did, to a certain degree, we're all Ernie Reyes Jr. fanboys.
Yes.
Can we just come out and say that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think that's what's turning the tide for me here is that we focus on Ernie Reyes Jr. more so than the movie itself, but just the fact that he was in it.
And I will also say, like, I typically despise children actors because they don't have the life experience to be able to mimic genuine human emotion very well. And this isn't me just sucking up to the guy because he commented on our posts. But I legitimately think that, and I apologize, sir, I don't know your name off the top of my head.
Nick Cohen,
if you're out there, I still think you did a great job in this movie. And that's coming from me who does not like child actors very much at all. I was ruined at an early age from the kid who did Problem Child. And
was Problem Child a problem for you?
Watch the movie and get back to me.
Oh no,
Branson.
I've seen it. No, I agree with you wholeheartedly.
But even he did a pretty decent job in the movie. So
I think
would agree with
that
that,
part of
yeah.
that is because the script was written so well for a kid to play.
I agree.
To have that right
Yeah.
attitude, especially the attitude, that time frame,
Mhm.
the valley surfer mindset. He did a great job of expressing all that, but at the same time, that was such a natural thing. I think they set him up for such a great win. I hate that he didn't continue on to do acting. Now, that being said, I looked through his Instagram. The dude's a very talented artist.
Mm.
He found his calling in doing art. But I thought his character was fun. I loved the quips that he had throughout the entirety of things. The part where he's like, "I see you leading a whole army into battle.
Really?
Victorious, really? Oh my gosh, you're wearing a dress." Psych.
Psych.
Oh, well, that was the 90s coming out. That
Man,
line
I was
right there.
talking with some
Psych.
teenagers today, and I almost pulled out the word psych just because of this movie. And I was like, no, we don't understand what I'm saying.
It's like psychology. What? Do you need a psychiatrist? Oh gosh.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I think we've hit the end of the road. We're an hour into the podcast. Let's give our ratings. Mr. John Har, can you define our rating system for us today?
Okay, so here on the bottom shelf, we have a 4-tier rating system. We start out with the top shelf, and the top shelf is a movie that I need to own. This movie, I need to buy it. It needs to be part of my collection, and I want to watch it whenever I feel like. Second tier is the middle shelf, which is like, I'll watch this movie again, maybe if it's streaming or if it's on TV or something. Maybe I'll watch it if it's streaming, or perhaps, now hear me out. If it's on TV, I might perhaps watch it and put it on. And maybe I won't. But you know what? It's not terrible, and maybe some of my friends might like it if I watch it with them.
It's really
if
terrible.
I don't watch it with them,
It's really
it doesn't
terrible.
matter. And then there's the bottom shelf. The bottom shelf is kind of like a litter shelf. It's where you put the bad things. It's I probably won't watch this again, but maybe there's somebody out there who doesn't like it. The bad reviews are probably how do you say it? Let me think here. Well deserved. I won't watch it again, but maybe somebody else will. And then there's the dumpster fire. The dumpster fire is total chaos. The chaos theory. Let's think about that. I will actively try to keep people from watching this movie. In fact, I will create a dumpster that's full of fire to possibly erase it from existence. Think a little bit more. Yes. I don't believe that any of our movies have actually made it to the dumpster fire, or at least not to my recollection.
All right.
Did you have fun with that? Did that scratch that itch, John?
Sir, that is an unscratchable itch. It's like between my shoulder blades and my mind. I'm going to keep scratching that for as long as I live, probably.
All right.
Thank you so much for reminding me of that, Branson.
Sure.
The things you do to yourself, Branson.
I know.
All right. Well,
I think Branson should be last based off of my prediction. Just
well, Jeff. I mean, John, can you go ahead and give us your rating for this film?
a rating. Let's see here. There was this movie that I watched, and it was called. No, I'm not going to do that like that because I'm. So this movie, you got to watch it in the context of what it is. You're not watching Sophie's Choice. You're not watching. You're not watching Far and Away. This movie wasn't designed to be a life-altering cinematic experience. If you go in watching it expecting a kung fu oriented family movie from the 90s, and you don't expect more than that, you're going to have a really good time with this movie. I had a fantastic time with this movie. And let's face it, Ernie Reyes Jr. is like movie bacon. He just makes whatever he's in better. I don't think I've really veiled my opinions on this movie throughout this whole podcast. So nobody's going to be shocked when I say this is the top shelf, to the point where I was legitimately planning on next time I get paid, I'm going to buy this movie to add it to my collection. So even to follow the rating system here. I need to buy this movie. So, what about you, Dallas? How did you feel about this movie?
I'm very similar about, you have to keep this in the context of when this was made, why it was made. And I feel like every film you visit needs to have that in the mindset. And so looking at the film, looking at our conversation, again, at the top of the hour, we're joking about, this will be a quick episode. We'll be a bit in and out. But we laughed so much. We talked so much. We quoted so many lines. And then you heap on to the nostalgias that I have for this film, of watching this with my sister.
And Ernie Reyes Jr.
Huh?
And Ernie Reyes Jr.
Reyes Jr. But like, just all that stuff heaped together, it's such an enjoyable experience for me. Celeste watched it for the very first time with me, and she laughed all the way through the film too, because it's just fun. And it's something that there is a magic to this film that we are missing in modern cinema that I wish we had. I am putting this on the top shelf. I want to go out and buy another copy, not just to replace the one that I'm borrowing from my sister, which is still in the Hollywood video box, but because I want to have it for myself, and to, support the fact this is the kind of cinema that we're missing. Something fun, lighthearted, that everyone can just watch and enjoy. It doesn't have to be a big brain thinking type of thing. I don't need to walk out of the theater feeling bad for myself or crying, just laughing and enjoying it and going out. That was a good time. So top shelf for me, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
Mr. Boykin.
Well, now that I know my opinion officially doesn't matter at all, I think this is how John felt about the Phantom. Like I said before, I think my perspective of the film was hurt because I watched it as an adult several years after the fact, as opposed to watching it as a kid alongside all the other martial arts movies. I remember as a kid, I don't remember exactly why I never got around to seeing this movie. I think it was just circumstances. I just was never at the right place at the right time, but I saw all the others. I saw Sidekicks. I saw Three Ninjas. I saw the Three Ninjas sequels. I saw Ninja Turtles. I saw Karate Kid. I saw all those movies. So I guess it's kind of a fluke I never saw this one.
Mm-hmm.
Walking into this show, I was going to be at a bottom shelf because I was like, okay, I fell asleep. I missed the big fight, and I woke up not feeling like I really missed a lot. So I was like, okay, this is going to be a bottom shelf for me. But as we reflected on the things that I did like about the movie, and Dallas, to the point you made about we just don't have movies like this anymore. Like, if I were to sit down and watch this with my boys, I think they would love this movie.
Yeah.
Because it is so silly. Mm-hmm. And because it is clean. Like, genuinely, there wasn't any crap in this film. It was clean humor. Now, it might not be the kind of humor that everyone appreciates, but like, if I sat down and watched this with my boys, they would laugh. They would think it was funny. And I think sitting there watching it with them, I would also laugh, if for no other reason than I would enjoy seeing them enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I've enjoyed talking about it with y'all. I've enjoyed the deep dive of Ernie Reyes Jr. and all the movies that he's been in. I've enjoyed talking about Leslie Nielsen as this comedic villain. Rob Schneider being, in my opinion, the funniest part of this film.
The funniest he's ever been in his career.
Possibly that even. Yeah. So I'm still not at the place where I would want to go out and buy it. But if I were with the right people in the right setting and in the right mindset, I think I could sit down, watch this movie again, and actually enjoy it. So originally I was going to do a bottom shelf, but I think I'm going to give it a middle shelf with an asterisk, in that it's got to be with the right people in the right setting. But with the right people in the right setting, I think I would sit down and watch this again. So I'm going to give it a middle shelf.
I called it.
You called it. You called it, sir.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from the horses' mouths themselves. We have a slightly disputed top shelf film. This is 2 weeks in a row, guys.
2 in a row.
Or 2 months in a row.
Yes. What is happening?
Go. This is the power of the guilty pleasure movies, guys. I'm excited about it. All right. With all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go off to the next section of the podcast. But what do you want to hear from you guys? Have you seen the movie? Do you love the movie? Do you hate the movie? Let us know. Reach out to us on our Facebook page and our Instagram. Just look for The Bottom Shelf. And if you guys have any connections to anybody who was in this film, send this to them and let them know that we are so thankful for them because we enjoyed not just watching it, but talking about it. And we appreciate the joy that this brought us today. So that being said, to the next section.
This is a weak connection.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Week Connections portion of the podcast. This is where we are openly robbing from our good friends over at Strangers and Aliens, a segment called Week Connections, where we pull out some sort of spiritual truth out of the film to bring encouragement, hope, and life to individuals. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we're taking a look at a top shelf film. Ladies and gentlemen, a surfing top shelf film, Surf Ninjas. Mr. Haryu, do you got something for us today, brother?
I do. And I never go first. See, everybody, I want you to know that is the power of Ernie Reyes Jr. Is he can make me give my weak connection before Dallas, which never happens. So Ernie Reyes, if you're out there listening, just know you are a miracle worker, sir. So that being said, my weak connection comes from Ephesians 1 verses 3 through 5. Which is blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who has blessed us in Christ with every spiritual blessing in the heavenly places, even as he chose us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and blameless before him. In love, he predestined us for adoption to himself as sons through Christ Jesus, according to the purpose of his will. Specifically, I wanted to stick it to that whole adopted into a royal lineage. That being inspired by one of the themes in this movie, that the two of the three main characters are actually royal. Now, they were adopted out of a royal family, but they were being reconciled back into the royal line. Very similar how through Christ, God is adopting us into the royal line. And I want to offer that as hope to people out there, that through Christ, you are of a royal blood. We are a royal priesthood. And, whenever life smacks you down, whenever stuff's not going your way, like this year has been a crummy year for me, but you know what? I'm a part of a royal priesthood, and, God has a plan. And even when it's all said and done, no one can take that away from me. God chose me. There's other people out there, but through Christ, God chose me. And so I want that to be an encouragement for you out there. If you're going through hard times, if it seems like the whole world is stacked against you, just remind yourself, you've been adopted into a royal line. God chose you. It wasn't an accident. He chose you.
So good. So my weak connection, actually, it kind of is very similar along the same vein of what you're doing over there, John. I'm coming out of Philippians chapter 4, starting in verse 10. But I rejoice in the Lord greatly that now at last you have revived your concern for me. Indeed, you were concerned before, but you lacked an opportunity to act. Not that I speak from need, For I have learned to be content in whatever circumstance I am. I know how to get along with little, and I also know how to live in prosperity. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of being filled and going hungry, both of having abundance and suffering need. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. In that last verse, it's often taken out of context and it's put on all kinds of t-shirts and stuff like that, but people think about the context of that. In the context, the writer of the Philippians, he's like, look, I've been through terrible things and I've learned that I can go through hard things and I can go through good things, and my peace is not found in the substances of the world. It's found in Christ.
Amen.
I can make it through these hard things because of my confidence in Christ, of who he is in my life, because of my relationship with the Father. These young men had found newfound confidence when they discovered this innate ability that was inside of them, something that was given to them via their DNA strands of their relationship that they had. And you see a change. We saw Branson talked about it greatly, how Reyes, he kind of acted all chilled. He's like, he can't fight or do anything like that. But also when there was this revelation of what he really was, things changed for him. When we have a revelation of our identity in Christ and who we are, we can go through hard things and we can be okay. It doesn't mean we don't go through hard things. There's this terrible misconception. I feel like we've talked about it on the show several times that, if you're in Christ, if you're a Christian, everything should be fine. No, life sucks. We live in a broken world. But we can make it through that because of the Christ in us. That's what that verse means. It means that we may go through crummy times, but we can make it through because we are a part of that royal priesthood that you talked about, John. And so that's my weak connection.
Amen.
Branson, you got any thoughts, my brother?
Honestly, I had a couple of thoughts bouncing around in there, but they were beautifully summed up by the two of you. So can I just say ditto?
Sounds good.
No, sir, that was a different movie. That was from Ghost.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I was thinking Pokemon. I don't know. All right. Well, ladies
Team
and gentlemen,
Rocket is blasting off again.
Was Reyes in that movie too?
Would you believe I've never actually seen any of the Pokemon movies or cartoons?
That's not that hard to believe. I didn't see any of them until recently when my kids got into it. But no, I could sing that theme song. Buddy, I knew that theme song backwards and forwards.
I not only watched the show, but I cried when Ash got rid of Pikachu for a little bit. I was invested in Pokemon as a child.
Raise your hand if you're shocked by that revelation.
Oh my goodness. Well, ladies and gentlemen, again, this has been the show. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hopefully you've been encouraged by it. We want to hear from you guys. You know where to find us. We have all the stuff at the bottom. John's got a link tree with 6,000 things he's involved with. Branson's part of Geek Devotions, and you can find me at geekdevotions.com. But for reals, we want you guys to interact with us, but do us a favor, because this is a conversation that we've had in the podcast realm. Reviews are great, not necessary. If you want to help support the show, share a link. Share your favorite episode. Tell people about the bottom shelf. Tell them if you disagree with us. That's fine. Somebody might agree with us.
I also want to go out there and encourage people to communicate with us. Talk to us on send the bottom shelf a message on the face space. We have had so many interesting conversations with people who just shoot us a message. It can be about the movies, it can be about the weak connections, it can be about anything, but just to know that there are people who are out there who are listening who are affected one way or another by the podcast. That encourages us so much.
Absolutely.
So and we love to hear from you guys. So
absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, stay devoted.
Peace and love.